Welcome to episode 94 of Shane Talks. I am back with the greatest co-host in the history of podcasting, Mr. Jason L. Mayer. What's up, dude? How you doing, man? Man, I feel like it has been forever since we have seen each other. Like, September's been a super busy month for both of us. So, like, the original title for this episode, when I was putting everything together, was originally going to be two friends just catching up. Like, because I feel like we hadn't seen each other or talked in so long. But luckily, we came up with some stuff to talk about over the last couple of days. So anyway, I completely didn't give you a chance to answer me, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. Do you mind? Do you mind real quick? Can we start this episode off with a shtick? Like I like sticky stuff. Can we start off with something weird real quick? All right. Here we go. Here we go. Have you seen this? Like, did you know that Oreo is doing Coca-Cola flavored Oreos?
I
Have you
did.
seen
I
this?
did. I
Okay.
did.
Like, did you know that Coca-Cola is doing Oreo flavored soda?
I did.
Do you know about this? Okay, I just learned about this, so I bought them. Obviously, I'm gonna try them. Have you tried these at all, or do you have any? Ooh, these are weird looking.
I
These
have no
Oreos are like two
interest.
different colors.
I have no interest. I
Okay.
do know that they exist. Um, Blind taste test by Shane. Ah.
Okay. Well, Oreo half done. Okay, that's weird. I'll say I'll say this. I'll give them this. It tastes like Coca Cola. Like that's weird. Okay, let's wash it down with this and see if it tastes like an Oreo. Hmm. So keep talking while I have my mouth full. No interest in these Oreos, huh?
Nope. Nope. And especially not after your reaction. So I think I'll stick with Star Wars Oreos and regular Oreos.
Okay. All right. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, that just tastes like soda to me. Like I don't. So the Oreo definitely has a Coca Cola taste to it. Bite into it, and it tasted like Coca Cola somehow. The Coke, I don't get any Oreo flavor from that. I just taste like soda.
I can't remember who, some friend either on Facebook or Instagram or something, and they put up a review similar to what you just did essentially,
Oh,
and
okay.
they were like Oreo tastes like a Coke, and the Coke does not taste anything like an Oreo. So
I'm gonna try another drink now that my mouth is completely devoid of cookie. Yeah, like the soda doesn't do anything for me. Like it just tastes like soda. So okay. I appreciate you indulging me in that. I literally saw those two things next to each other at the checkout today, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to look into this." And interesting is one way to look at that. Ooh. Okay. It's it's been a while since you and I hung out. Like I said, September's been kind of busy for both of us. You still have a house full of people that you are hosting, and then I did some traveling and have some other stuff going on. So we haven't really got to hang out a lot recently, but we did see a movie together, and I think we both like it. And I want to just talk about it real quick. The last time we hung out, we went and saw the Kevin Smith's new movie, the 4:30 movie, together. I absolutely had a blast with it and loved it. Why don't you tell me how you felt about it?
um, hmm, an overweight kid who has the hots for a good-looking girl in high school and loves movies and wants to become realizes during the course of the film that he wants to become a filmmaker, hangs out with other guys who also love movies. Shane, this was literally like almost I am autobiographical for us. Like it's And somebody just recently, I ran into a couple whose kid used to be in Boy Scouts with Nick, my oldest, and they are both in marching band.
Okay.
But I don't see these parents very often anymore, just because, life or whatever. So I ran into them just yesterday, and his name's Jamie, and he was like, "Jason, you seen any good movies lately?" And I was like, and then it popped in, and I was like, 4:30 movie, Kevin Smith's newest one, and he was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, like if you like Kevin Smith." I was like, it's a lot more tame than most of his stuff, but I was like, but it's about kids growing up in the 80s who go to movies to watch go to a movie theater to watch movies all the time, and then, like, they're trying to become film makers themselves. And he was like, that sounds interesting. And I was like, yeah, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So
I think it's
yeah.
probably like his most wide appeal movie he's ever done. Like,
You're probably right on that. His and like, and it's just, and I know that we used this word when we were right after we saw it with our friend Joel, but it's like, it's just cute, man. Like, it's just
absolutely.
like, you think of Kevin Smith and you think of how over the top he usually is and how raunchy he can be. And
Yep.
like, he like dialed it all the way back for this one. And it works for
It
me
works
anyway.
really
Uh,
well. Absolutely. Yeah,
so
man,
yeah.
I completely agree with you. I love the movie. Like I, obviously I'm a Kevin Smith fanboy. Obviously I was gonna like the movie, but like all the stuff that you just talked about, like it felt so good. Like it's a great like rom-com underneath like a movie about friends.
Yeah.
Like I don't, dude, it's just and like, I mean, granted, it does the whole it has its moment of, oh, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Like it's got that, which was kind of meh for the movie, but like it was fine. Like it you
Does
expect it
feel the need
from
they
buddy
feel
movies
the
like that.
yeah, they
What's
feel
that?
the need to do
Yeah.
that for some strange reason. It's not necessary, but they feel the need to do it. And unfortunately, they chose to go that route. But
But it
uh,
wasn't as bad as like it is a lot of times like
no, no, yeah, it definitely was. It was light on that. Like,
yeah,
that's probably my least favorite part of the whole movie. But
agreed.
overall, it's still really, really solid as far as film goes. And I had a lot of fun watching it. It was great seeing it with you.
Yep.
And um, it's definitely um, it's definitely up there. And I can't I won't say it's not his best one, but it's really, really far up the list for me for Kevin Smith
Yeah,
movies.
I put it fourth on my list. I have sorry, Chasing Amy, then Clerks, then Jersey Girl, then 4:30 movie, and then I think I put online and my fifth one was Clerks 3. So it's definitely in my top five, top number four in my opinion for Kevin Smith movies. Like, but yeah, it was just so fun and appealing and nostalgic and like just such a good time. I really enjoyed it. Again, like you said, I really enjoyed getting to watch it with you since it's about three friends who go to movies together, and like that's a lot of what our friendship has been based on over the last 30 years.
I don't know what
So
you're talking.
like was that?
You said I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, we haven't really been going to movies together very much recently, but I know I went and saw a movie without you, and then you went and saw a movie without me. So talk to me a little bit about Transformers and let me know how it turned out to be.
Um, Transformers One is fun.
Okay.
It's probably third on the list as far as, I'm not counting the original Transformers animated movie,
Okay.
because
Why
that's
not?
number well, because that's a totally different era. Like,
Okay.
that by itself was something totally new and different back in the 80s, whereas everything since Michael Bay, because this was even produced by Michael Bay.
Oh,
So
was
my
it? Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's like, I have a feeling that this is supposed to be in that universe
I
somewhat.
see.
I mean, it definitely has the look of the Gen 1s, more than they
Um,
do for the and like for the live action movies. But it definitely like they all just kind of that silly humor, the you know what I like the slapstick humor that they almost always have in these movies, and
sure,
uh, the first Transformers movie stands alone because of the fact that it's almost like it tried to take itself seriously as a film,
sure,
so it didn't have the jokes as much. It had like funny moments, but it wasn't
yeah,
like trying to be jokey or slapsticky at all. Whereas I feel like everything that Michael Bay has done with the Transformers always does have that underlying camp factor to it. But I like Transformers 1. It's definitely worth watching. The
sure.
3D, I wish the 3D would have had better depth to it. But overall, just a lot of fun to watch. So
Very cool. So without you, because I mean, I know horror is not your favorite genre. I know you don't have anything against it per se, but I know you're not a big horror person like I am. So I went and saw James McAvoy's movie Speak No Evil, which is a remake of a Danish film.
yeah,
So I watched the movies back to back. The Danish version is available, I want to say, on like Hoopla or something like that. So I watched the Danish version like a couple hours before I went and saw the remake in the theater. Um,
why do you
two
do that
really,
to yourself?
what's that?
I don't understand you at all. No, I do because I would want to see it, but I just don't know if I want to watch the original first because I always feel like the remake is hardly ever is it's never as good. And so
This these two,
so
and you're right, like these two films are a this should be a course in film study about Americanizing stories because the Danish version is really dark, really creepy, really messed up, um, and it does not have a happy ending at all. It's a pretty dark and twisted ending that happens in the Danish version. And then the American one isn't bad, but it doesn't capture the same it doesn't capture the same emotions that I got from watching the original one. It still has its moments, and James McAvoy is like pretty much the shining star of this movie. Like he carries like his. I mean, you've seen Split, so you know that he can do like that kind of like you know terrorizing type character. So
yeah.
like he carries this movie for what it is, but the third act goes so American and so we're gonna have a happy ending at the end that I was just like, what is what is the point of remaking a movie if your literal goal is to completely change the ending of it and make it a happy ending? Like I just the movie was fine. I think the original was way better. I was more emotionally invested in the stuff that happens in the original. Um you probably don't want to have seen the original when you watch the remake, just because, like I said, the third act is so completely different. Like, and even the third act has some good tense moments in it. Like you can see where they're going with it eventually, and especially if you've seen the trailer, you get the idea of what's going on throughout the course of the movie. But like again, it doesn't have the same dark, twisted, evil ending as the original, and I was just like, what is the point of like doing this? And I know that you and I had talked before I watched the movie about how James McAvoy had said that he never read the whole script and he didn't know, if he would have committed to it if he had, read, where the script went. So when I watched the original and I saw how that ended, I went, oh man, this has to be what James McAvoy is talking about. Like what they do here,
Yeah.
like this has to be like what's so screwed up and messed up that's why he, got worried about committing to this movie. And then like they just don't do it at all. And I'm just like, what was wrong with this happy ending to this movie that I don't know. It's not a bad movie in any way, but it was somewhat disappointing to me. So I don't know. Last week Agatha All Along started. I know you're not the biggest fan of Marvel television shows. Have you even given it a shot?
Yeah, I
Okay.
watched the second episode today. I know I'm one episode behind right now.
Okay.
But yeah, the second episode's a lot better than the first one.
Well, that's
Uh,
interesting. I feel the exact opposite. I really liked the pilot, and then I didn't like the second episode.
yeah, I just that first episode, it just felt like I don't know. I don't know if it's because we had already seen what they had done with like the television shows with WandaVision that I just was totally
Okay.
like, not. I was just like, oh, I know what's going on here. She's imagining herself in a television show or something, and then sure,
Okay.
and and then like that just bothered me. It's like, well, I've already seen this.
I see. Okay.
And you know what? They at least I have to give them credit. At least they hit the fast forward button on it, and it only lasted what like 70% of that episode was she
Yeah.
believing that she was this other character, and
Yeah.
so I think it still it was okay. Um, but you probably, I mean, you and your heart on for what's her face.
Catherine
So
Hahn. Or
no,
no,
the
Aubrey Plaza. Yes, Aubrey Plaza. Yes, absolutely.
so
Yes.
like
Probably
it,
why I liked the first episode better than her lack of being in the second episode.
yeah,
Probably, yes. Aubrey Plaza is definitely eye candy that I love.
yeah. So like once I realized that she was, I was like, that makes perfect sense that Shane loves this movie so much more. So,
Yeah, understandable. Yeah. Well, okay. I'll be interested to talk to you after you watch the third episode. I just watched the third episode. Oh no, I watched it last night. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to say anything.
it's
Was
not
that
high on the list to
sure?
like when it SEAL Team comes out every Sunday.
Okay.
I'm on it. If there was a way to watch um that and Tulsa King in the same night, I would do so because I like both of those shows so much.
Oh, I bet I'm behind on Tulsa. I've watched the first episode of Tulsa King. I haven't seen the second one. Okay. All right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so like Drew loves SEAL Team, and so we make sure we watch that on Sunday nights before I call it a night, and then we but yeah, I love Tulsa King, which is weird because it I don't I don't mind his anti-hero in his show. Like and me, I've pointed out things that like super dark and all sorts of different television shows, and that's usually like kind of a turnoff. But he seems like he's such a nice gangster. And it works for me for some strange reason. He's not as deplorable as like guys in Goodfellas or
Sure.
Casino or anything. He just it's like he just wants to make a little bit of money. He'll beat the crap out of you if he absolutely has to, and he kind of just wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
And he likes me, but so I don't know. I just really dig the show. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I agree. I was happy when it came back. And like I said, I watched the first episode last week. The only thing that sucks is like I forget when all these shows drop and whatnot. So like I probably would have waited, like it probably would have been next week, and I would have been like, oh shit, Tulsa King, and then I would have had like three episodes to watch or something. But like at some point they were promoting it a lot on TV or something, and so I was like, oh cool, Tulsa King's back. So I watched the first episode when I could, and really liked it, really enjoyed it. I think it's weird because I know you and I talked, a year ago on the podcast about how Stallone said that he wasn't coming back for the second season. And we were like, where are they going to go without him being around or him being in jail or what are they going to do? And they literally breezed through that in the first 5 minutes and they were like, show's going on like it previously was.
well,
But
I just read the yesterday or today on Instagram, and he was talking about how they're like one of the highest ranked shows for streaming right now. That the amount of people that are watching it now is like tons more than watched it last year
mhm.
when it first launched. So they're already like talking season three.
Oh wow.
So I know one of the things that I also didn't realize this at the time, but the girl who plays the waitress at like the coffee shop or whatever, and she also
Okay.
works at the horse farm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's his daughter. It's one of his daughters.
No
So,
way.
oh yeah, yeah. So it's one of those moments where it's like, I
Hmm.
know he was complaining. Right when they got launched of it last year, he was in talks with about getting a divorce from his wife,
Oh
and
wow.
he talked about at that point he was talking about how much of a strain it was to do a television show because you were doing it for so long. He was like, most movies that he makes nowadays is something like 6 to 8 weeks of his life, whereas
Sure.
this is months of his life. So have a sneaky suspicion, and he hasn't gone public that I know of about it, but have a sneaky suspicion that it was probably the time away from his wife and everything else that kind of put a strain on his relationship. And then here he is with his daughter starting to be in the show, and so
Interesting.
at least he's getting something
Did
out of
you
it.
did you ever watch his reality show? I obviously didn't since I didn't recognize his daughter, but did
No,
you?
I
No. Yeah.
never found like reality shows for the most part, unless it's a singing competition or a talent competition. I don't find the time to watch anything else
Right
as
on.
far as reality TV goes.
So upcoming. Well, this is actually the first thing that I have to talk about is really kind of disappointing. But I don't know. It might work out for the best. I just found out tonight that my plans for this Sunday have been canceled because I was going to go downtown and I was going to go see Helen Hunt talk about Twister after I watched Twister. And this afternoon, well, this evening, I got an email that said that's been canceled. Here's your ticket refund.
Must not
Not
have
happening. What's that?
must not have sold enough tickets.
I guess not. Like, I mean, I just bought mine like a week or two ago. Like when I was up in Green Bay, my friend Nick had told me that he bought tickets for it. And I was like, oh, I've been thinking about getting tickets for that. So sometime last week, I finally decided to buy a ticket. I'd say it probably looked like half sold out when it happened. But here's the weird thing. She canceled, so that was on Sunday night. She canceled Saturday night in Ohio also.
Oh, so maybe it wasn't ticket sales. Maybe it was something else.
No, and maybe it's something that's come up with her or whatnot. But yeah, so I was kind of disappointed about that because I mean, I obviously love the original. I haven't seen it in theaters since '96, so I was like, I'll get to go watch the movie in. I mean, it was at the Mara, but watch it on a big screen and then hear her talk about it. And so I was really kind of looking forward to that. It might work out because now I'm thinking about going and watching Dazed and Confused with Troy at the Can Can, which was the same night. And obviously, anytime that I get to hang out with Troy and I get to watch Dazed and Confused with Troy, which we did together last summer down at the Art Craft, like it's always a good night hanging out with him. So I do know for a fact that Troy is going. He'll probably talk about that at his halftime talk. But yeah, so it might work out for the best now that my other plans have canceled. I might try to weasel my way in there to hang out with Troy on Sunday night instead now, but
Thought you
really
bought
kind of
tickets.
disappointed.
Thought you bought tickets to go to see Pulp Fiction on Sunday night.
That is next Sunday night. That's October 6th. That's
Oh,
not this Sunday night. That's October 6th.
good to know.
That was the next movie I was going to talk about because I was going to say like I was hoping that you would join me for that one. It is a 35 millimeter print of Pulp Fiction for the 30th anniversary of Pulp Fiction that is being shown at the Art Craft not this Sunday, the following Sunday, October 6th.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, add
Um,
that to your calendar.
I'm a maybe on that. I'm
Okay.
interested. Cool to see it in 35, but that's also if everything works out, that would be the weekend that David comes home. So
Well, and that's obviously far more important than going to see.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what
Okay.
happens. So
Cool. I do apologize for our previous confusion when we talked about that. Yeah, it is not this Sunday. It is the following Sunday on October 6th. Man. Oh, and then my last thing to talk about, because again, like I said, my life has been stupid busy recently. And then I get to go up to Chicago the following weekend. So this weekend's going to be Dazed and Confused. The next weekend is going to be what we just talked about, Pulp Fiction. And then the weekend after that, I am in Chicago to go see Kevin Smith for his ChronicCon convention that is happening. That's essentially probably just going to be a Kevin Smith centric comic convention. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm just gonna stop talking while you got something else going on.
you could have just kept talking, and then you could have just zoomed in on you, and then you could
I could
have.
have, but now I would rather make more editing for myself to cut that out, or to just leave it up there if I forget. Who knows what's gonna happen right there? Everything all good?
Oh, it's doing the whole emoji thing. Never mind. We're good.
Oh, got it. Oh, that's awkward because I did not see the emojis on my screen. That's
Oh,
weird.
well, I mean, if I do this and I hold it up long enough, then this is what happens.
Oh, well, that's what happens. You raised your hand and it moved everything on screen. Well, now I have to remember to do editing right here. No, yeah, okay. I cannot move video when someone has their hand raised. Then put your hand down.
Putting my
Let me
hand
move
down.
my video. Oh my God. This is all kinds of ridiculous editing. This is not going to go well in editing, Emil. We'll just leave all that in there because that was a lot of fun. Man, we used to back in the day do a segment called Coming Attractions, and there's been quite a few trailers that have dropped recently that we haven't talked about in person. So I felt like it
Who
was at least
hasn't
a
talked
little.
about in person?
What?
I'm just being ridiculous. Go ahead.
Got it. Well, like I said, we haven't seen each other very much recently, so we haven't been able to talk about these things in person. Have you seen the Den of Thieves 2 trailer?
I have.
And what are your thoughts and feelings on that? Because if I remember right, we both liked the movie. I know I liked the movie. I think you liked the movie also. Do you
Did
want
I?
to see a sequel?
I think it's interesting to give us a sequel now, but I am all in. I think
Yep.
I think the first one was fantastic, a lot of
Yep.
fun. Was better than. Let me rephrase that. It was way better than I was expecting it to be. Um,
Absolutely.
so
But are they
that
going to be able to pull that off again by not having what I really enjoyed in the first movie is the twist to the first movie. Is that going to live up with this second one? Like, I'm assuming they're not going to try to pull another twist like that again on us. I mean, who knows?
oh yeah,
But
they are. You know they
you
are.
think so? Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be their thing, and I believe that it's going to end like. I think this is my prediction for this movie. We'll
Okay.
see if it comes to fruition or not. I think Gerard Butler is still a cop, is going in saying he's not a cop, is going to try to bust everybody.
Okay.
And so that's going to be like the twist is going to
Okay.
be, oh, he's still a cop. You just didn't know it. He just pretended he wasn't. But the
Okay.
real twist is going to be that Jackson, or
Uh-huh.
what that his last name? I can't
O'Shea
remember.
Jackson. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
O'Shea Jackson.
Jackson is going to be anticipating that the entire time. And
Okay.
it's going to be, and he's going to be ready for it. And he's still going to pull one over on Gerard Butler. And that's going to piss off Gerard Butler again.
Okay.
So,
I can,
again,
I definitely could see that being true. So that's a decent theory you got going on there. All right, man. Marvel movie. What are your feelings on the Thunderbolts trailer?
I the Century came out when I kind of stopped reading comics.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird because I like the idea of everything, but I'm not a huge like it, Marvel's made two good movies since Endgame. So once they can get a little bit more, yeah, once they can get better at making movies again, then I might be excited. But I'm not excited, but I'll watch it.
Is
So,
the Sentry a mutant? Like, is this a technical mutant that they're bringing into the show?
so that's a really good question. So he is a ripoff of Superman,
Superman. Yeah.
except he's insane.
Okay. Okay.
Literally is a broken psyche of a man. They gave him a ton of super soldier serum or something, I think is what the whole thought process was, is like they
Okay.
just kept injecting him over and over and over and over again. I don't
Oh.
know if he's a mutant or not. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I think I, yeah, you could have
Okay.
gone in so many different directions. I'm just not sure that this is the one that I would have gone.
I see. But like the idea of a bad Avengers being brought together, like, do you think? I mean,
Oh,
it's like what essentially like the Suicide Squad for Marvel now, right? Like all these bad guys coming together.
well, that's the thing though, is like not everybody's bad. Like the new Black Widow's not a bad person.
I guess so. Bucky's technically
Bucky,
not a bad person
not a
anymore.
bad person. Like, yeah, since he got deprogrammed, he's not a bad person. So it's really weird. Um, I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not, but I'm
So
willing
I
to put up with it.
I I read this theory online. because I'm sure you noticed that at the end of the Thunderbolts trailer, it's got that little asterisk after the word Thunderbolts. I read online where somebody thinks that that's because it's now just a working title for the movie, and when it comes out, it's actually going to be called The Dark Avengers.
I think I don't think you change that before the movie comes out. I think you're going to leave it as Thunderbolts. And then
Mhm.
I think you're going to do something along the lines of what they did with Falcon and the Winter Soldier is now Falcon, like Falcon, Captain America and the White Wolf or whatever. You remember at the very end
Oh,
of it, they changed the name at the when they
I see.
credits or something. Um,
Gotcha.
I think the Thunderbolts might be that. The original Thunderbolts was a way cooler idea though for me.
What was the
Um,
original
the
Thunderbolts?
original one, so you had a bunch of bad guys who changed, like put on new costumes and
Oh,
pretended to be good guys.
oh, okay.
And so you had like the Beetle and Baron von Zemo, and you had all these bad guys who like all of a sudden like showed up and they were all great. They were really good guys and they were fighting bad guys, and then all of a sudden it turned it was a really
So if
weird.
Zemo was originally in the Thunderbolts in the comics, why is he not in the pre like why is he not in this movie?
Well, because they're not doing the Thunderbolts from the comics because they were all literally bad guys. It was like
Okay,
yeah, and so this one it's kind of and I mean Ghost isn't a bad guy anymore, right? Like
true, I guess.
well, and Taskmaster, not a bad guy anymore.
Is
Once
anybody even a bad guy anymore? Like, are there really even bad guys in cinema ever anymore?
uh
Uh, do
Red
you think
Guardian
there's
is
going to
not
be
a
a
bad
bigger
guy.
bad? Who?
Red
Oh, Red
Guardian
Guardian.
is
Yeah.
not a bad guy.
Do you think is this going to be a like Suicide Squad thing? Like, is there going to be a bigger bad guy
Oh
involved in
yeah.
this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and like so, like, and I also feel like the Thunderbolts title, if I'm not mistaken, like has nothing to do with Thunderbolt Ross. Like, he didn't like assemble this team or had nothing to like. Is there any reason why they use the term Thunderbolts?
I don't remember there being
No.
one.
Oh,
I might be
okay.
wrong. It's
I
been a
got you.
long time since I read those books.
I thought it's weird that like Thunderbolt Ross is becoming important in the new Captain America movie, and then the next one to come out after that is Thunderbolts, and I had assumed that they were in some way connected, but from my reading this week, that they apparently have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
Well, and the messed up part about that's another thing. Why I don't need Red. Why did you have to ruin Red Hulk being in that movie? Like
Hmm.
you could have had the assassination attempt trigger his Red Hulkness, and that could have been a big surprise and for everybody watching. And just it's really stupid, in my opinion, that they
Well,
allow.
the problem is that not everybody thinks the way that you do, and a lot of people want to know what they're getting into when they go and watch movies, and they don't want to be surprised by that. That's a selling point is I get to go see the Red Hulk. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not everything can be Deadpool and Wolverine where we get some really good, cool surprises in it that we didn't see coming.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, but you're not excited for it, but you'll watch it.
Hey, I'm a little bit more excited for it just because I think that they have a eclectic cast of characters that they've put together for this, and I think you can pull off something kind of cool. But
Right on.
yeah, just not keeping my hopes up for this one.
Understandable. What about the movie Sinners? Have you watched that preview yet? Ryan Coogler
Yeah,
and Michael B. Jordan.
yeah.
It's apparently a vampire movie that doesn't look like a vampire movie at all.
I only watched the trailer because you put it on the list for our
Oh, okay.
outline. And I was like, oh, I'll just brush up on these and watch them all again, make sure I'm not missing anything. And then I watched that and I was like, this is really freaky.
Yeah,
Um, I dig Ryan Coogler. I dig Michael B. Jordan. So why not? I mean, give me something new, give me something different, different take on something would be kind of fun.
it's just interesting. Like they don't play up that like I was for months been hearing about Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan doing a vampire movie. Okay, cool. All right, they're doing a vampire movie. All right, trailer finally drops. Vampire movies, trailers here. And I watch it and I'm like, I don't see a single vampire in this movie. And again, maybe they're doing what you want and keeping it like see like maybe not everybody knows that it's a vampire movie. Like I don't know, but
Eh,
I just
didn't know it until you just said it.
Oh yeah, so it's a vampire movie. Like it's about vampires.
Hey, it'd be cool to watch more people make trailers for movies like M. Night, right? Where we
Sure.
get finally get to have some surprises show up every now and then. So
So when I do this and I go like this, it's pretty obvious that I'm talking about the film Gladiator and the stupid reason that they are making a sequel to this movie. And then apparently the newest trailer like spoils. I mean, you're probably not happy about the spoiling of a plot point in the movie, but I'm not interested in this at all. I probably won't go watch it. Have they got you sold on Gladiator 2? Are you interested?
anytime Denzel's in a movie, it's worth paying attention to a little bit, in my opinion. Um, are you talking about the who his father is?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
I thought they gave that away in the last trailer. I might be wrong.
Oh,
Uh,
I might have missed it in the first trailer. I didn't catch it until the second trailer. I may have
gotcha.
missed it the first time.
Whatever. You had to find some reason why it's Gladiator 2. Like, and that's the other thing is like, what was Den of Thieves 2, Pandora was the name of it or
Oh
something
yeah, yeah.
or whatever. And so I was like, why not just call it Den of Thieves Pandora's box or whatever they were calling
Right.
it. And then this one, it's like you called it Gladiator 2. Like, why wouldn't you come up with a better name? Gladiator blah. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would work better than Gladiator 2 because you can still cash in on the fact that it's a Gladiator movie and that's a
Sure.
sequel, quasi sequel. Uh, I think it's really stupid the way that they made the title. So
Well, and so look, obviously I am not in any way a fan of the first movie, but did you know that like 20 years ago they had an idea for making a sequel to it with Russell Crowe involved?
no,
So like not too long after the original came out, there was talk about doing a sequel. And when I heard about this, I was like, how do you do a sequel? He died in the movie. Like this sounds like the like how are you gonna make a sequel with Russell Crowe? And apparently literally was going to be him dead in the underworld and being told that if he follows this specific path that like he can get his life back and like be resurrected type thing. And I literally was like, of all the stupid shit you could have done for a sequel, okay, like I'm not faulting you for making it a undead or a a a dead person's tale of trying to get hit like trying to be resurrected type thing. But yeah,
it
that
would
was
have been
apparently the
cool if he
original
didn't get
with
if it would have been cool if he failed at the end of that one
sure.
too.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
it
so
would have been
that was
cool.
apparently the original plan for a sequel with Russell Crowe and who's the guy that does the Gladiator movie?
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. Like apparently that was their original plan for making a sequel to the movie. But yeah. Um I know we both have a soft spot for the beautiful Anna Kendrick. Have you seen the preview for her movie that she her first directorial debut movie?
Which is weird because I could have sworn I thought she made a different movie already. But
Oh,
I'm obviously wrong. I thought no, because it says directorial debut.
oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I thought I saw that she made some independent movie like Woman in the Lake or Woman in the River or something like that.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong. It looks freaky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for her. I mean, she's got to try and break out of that like I'm cute and I look like I'm 12 roles.
Sure.
Like, Woman of the Hour. I could have sworn she did something else though. What was the movie that I'm thinking of?
I'm not
Alice
sure.
Darling. I apologize. Alice Darling is what I thought she directed.
Oh, I see.
So, but I was wrong. So
Gotcha.
that was wrong.
Okay.
Directed by
And I
Mary.
mean, like, good.
I was gonna say it was directed by a lady named Mary Nye or something along those lines. So
Gotcha. And I mean, like, here's the worst thing, man. I come on this show and I talk about how much I hate biopics, but I'm open to this one because it's directed by Anna Kendrick, right? Like, I'm all for a biopic if she directs it. Like, that makes it all okay, right? I don't
I
know,
watched
but
the biopic of Kevin Smith a couple of weeks ago, man. So
good call. Good call on that. And then the last one is just dropped today. I don't know if you have seen the updated version of the script, but well, I think it dropped today. Maybe it dropped yesterday. I just watched it today. It was Ballerina. Did
yeah,
you watch it?
yeah.
Great to see Lance Reddick in it. So obviously they filmed this a while ago. Um, I remember them talking about it a long time ago. I had never paid attention to the fact that it had actually been filmed before his death, but always great to see Keanu come back. Like it's, I'm excited for it. I mean, and Ana de Armas is obviously beautiful to look at. Um, her gunplay doesn't look as smooth as Keanu's does, but I mean, we'll see how it is in the actual movie. But your thoughts on it?
First, I'm wondering if the guy who passed away, if he was maybe he wasn't filmed and maybe it was a digital thing.
Oh, interesting. It could be.
Maybe it's AI. That was my first thought. Second thought was I like what they're telling them about being ballerinas
Oh,
through the.
sure. Yeah,
And I was like, okay, so maybe we'll get some realism here instead of the way that like Mr. and Mrs. Smith deals with stuff. Um,
sure.
but I'm all in. I didn't. I liked John Wick. Let me rephrase that. The first John Wick's,
Yep.
a top 5 action movie of all time, and every single one of those afterwards has been just okay. I don't, but I'm willing to let's go watch some people kill some people.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anything coming up anytime soon that you are excited about? Movies, television? I mean, concert. I know you're going to Pink soon, so that's super cool. But like, anything coming up that you are like actually excited about getting to watch, like storytelling wise? And while
That's
you're thinking, I will throw mine out. I'm obviously a huge Alex Cross fan, big James Patterson fan. Read the first 20 some books when I was younger. I love Aldous Hodge. I'm pretty sure you're a Leverage fan, also, right?
I never watched Leverage.
You never watched Leverage? Oh my God, Leverage is so
Wasn't
fun.
wasn't that like on TNT or something?
Yep, it was on
Okay.
TNT. It's literally Ocean's 11 every week. Timothy Hutton was in charge of a team of people that they went and pulled heists, but it was like we're doing a heist to help people type thing. So like I really highly recommend Leverage, man. It is a lot of fun. But Aldous Hodge was on Leverage, and yeah, I really like the dude as an actor. He's done a lot of stuff that I really enjoy. You saw Hollow Man, right? Not Hollow Man, not sorry, not Hollow Man. The Invisible Man.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he was the cop in that, but he plays Alex Cross, man. And like as much as I love Morgan Freeman and his version of it, did not care for Tyler Perry's version of it. The trailer for this looks really good, so I am super pumped and excited to get to watch all this Hodge play. And I mean, like it looks like they have the family together, right? Like his wife's passed away, he's got 2 kids, he lives with his mother. Like it looks like they've got the whole like character dynamic set up right for it. I don't know officially if Sanji is the bad guy in this. I kind of hope he is.
Is
I
that the one
can't
that
tell.
Matthew that they did the first book or first movie?
Uh, yes.
Matthew
No, 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 no. It was the guy from Robin Hood, Prince of the in Along Came a Spider.
second movie.
Yeah, the
Yep.
second movie. Yeah, in Along Came a Spider. It was the one played by the guy who played Guy of Gisborne. Michael. It's not Michael Gambon. Gaston.
Yeah.
Michael.
He was the one in The Crow and Robin Hood,
Yes.
Alien
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah,
So
so he played Sanji in that, which unfortunately the movie did not do justice to the book, and how Sanji was in the book. But yeah, so they haven't, as far as I haven't seen the trailer doesn't show that that's officially who the villain is in this, but I kind of get the vibe that that's who they're going for, and that would be pretty cool. Like potentially not doing the Along Came a Spider storyline, maybe it doesn't look like that's the storyline they're doing, but anyway, however they do it, the trailer's got me pretty pumped for it. I think all this Hodge looks really good, and I get a good vibe from it, so I'm super excited about that. Did you come up with anything?
I was trying to figure out if there was something that I was super excited about. I just found out they're making another Final Destination movie.
I heard about that. I heard about that. Like is the last one that we got like I mean this one was like 10 years ago, the one that book ended back to the original movie. Is that the last one they came out with, or did they do another one?
I thought they did one that was called The Final Destination, and that was the last one that they did.
Okay, but is that one the Final Destination, the one that ends with the opening scene of Final Destination?
I don't remember.
Okay, yeah. I just remember you and me, and I want to say Dave was there and a bunch of other people. We watched it at Glendale, and we just thought it was the coolest thing that, like, the end of one of the Final Destinations. I don't know if it was the most recent one, but how it bookended back to the airplane sequence of the first film was really cool. Well, I mean, on par with that, did you see your boy Freddie Prince Jr.? Well, our boy, because I love him too, signed on to do whatever this I Know What You Did Last Summer new sequel legacy movie is.
Yeah, I mean, so did Jennifer Love Hewitt. So, you know,
Not super excited about it though. It doesn't sound like.
so
uh,
Final Destination 5,
okay,
the one that loops back.
okay, and then there
And
was
I
another one after that.
think there was.
Okay, yeah. Final Destination franchise is fun overall, but definitely, I don't know. They're okay. The first
One,
one's
two,
obviously amazing.
I don't know. So it was the last one that they made. So it
Oh,
went
okay.
it went 1, 2, 3, the Final Destination, and then they made Final Destination 5, which was the prequel that led right into the beginning of the first movie.
Was the Final Destination the one that was in 3D, or was that
Yes.
three? But the Final
I
Destination
think
was
3D and Final Destination both were.
okay. Right on. All right. Well, before we get into the bulk of what we're doing, before we get into the feature presentation, let me go ahead and take the time to send this over to Troy himself. Me and Troy are going to talk about. Troy's got some. Troy claims he's got some horror stuff to talk to me about. So let's go see what Troy has to say. Thank you so much, Shane. Here we are at my favorite part of the podcast. It is Troy Talks. What's up, Troy? How you doing this month, man?
Just living the dream.
Badass. So, last month you were on for an extended time. We had you on to talk about 90s bands, which was an amazing episode. So I appreciate you doing. We've had you on quite a bit recently because the month before that was extended Troy Talks, where you and I did a whole episode together. So I've gotten some great Troy in the last couple of months. Welcome back to this episode. We're talking about horror stuff right now, and you have a really confused look on your face.
I was trying to figure out if that was the sequence of events. Was 90s bands last month? I felt like that
Yeah,
was several
yeah,
months ago,
90s
but I have
90s
been on
bands
a
was
lot
just
lately.
last month. Yeah, and it's awesome. So
Like,
sorry we're going back to our normal little bit of Troy talks, but let's make the most of it here. We're talking about horror movies on the main podcast. Where's Troy's brain at right now?
well, I think the most horrific thing right now for your listeners is that they only get 20 minutes of me this month. And so we can start there. No, it's September. We're coming into October, spooky season.
Yeah.
Man, horror movies. Before that, I want to send a shout out to my daughter, whose birthday it is today. I am officially the
Oh,
father. I am officially the father of a teenager,
oh, boy,
which is,
bro.
which is the most fucking scary thing that's ever happened to me. Regardless of horror movies, I'd probably rather fight Michael Myers than be someone who is A, old enough to have a teenage child,
Mm-hmm.
and B, someone who has a teenage child. So,
Absolutely. So, like,
yeah.
13, is that officially, is she officially in high school?
Oh no, she's in
No.
seventh grade.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, happy birthday, Mabel. Happy birthday from everybody at Shane Talks. We really appreciate you. I mean, I think your dad's going to make you listen to this. So just want to make sure you know how much everybody here appreciates you and your dad.
And I want to send a birthday shout out to Dr. Jamie Felton, 29 forever.
Oh, Jamie.
I'm
Okay.
not sure how many times she's turned 29, but whatever.
Happy birthday also to Jamie. I've had the pleasure of having some drinks with Jamie in the past when I've hung out with you, and she is absolutely pleasant to be around and very fun.
Yeah, good times.
Very cool. Dude, lots of birthdays going on with you right now.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, I'm just celebrating all the time. In Peace Summits next weekend. Go November Project.
Oh, yeah, you talked about the November Project before on here.
What?
You talked about the November Project on here before.
Yeah, the November Project
Recap it.
it's a national organization. It's a community-based workout group. They use the city as their gym. In Indianapolis, we meet on Wednesdays and Fridays at 6 a.m. Get a little nice hit workout, get a little dose of community, coffee, breakfast, that type of stuff. Good people, upwardly mobile, professional people, young people, old people. But the November Project is in, I think, 60 cities around the world, and
Oh, wow.
they're having their worldwide summit next week, and it is here in our fair Circle City.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, like, in previous ones, like what's my question here? How much business do you think is bringing to the city? Like in previous ones, have they released numbers about like what it's done for business?
Ooh, bud, I can't really tell you that. Just as I mean, the November Project is a grassroots organization. I don't know if you can see that. These are
That's
our
dope.
official T-shirts. That's made with spray paint.
That's
Indianapolis
awesome.
is crest right there, baby.
That's
Yeah,
a pretty cool shirt.
but we're gonna be in town. We're gonna be doing a big workout on Friday at the Indianapolis War Memorial at 6 a.m. People from all over the country, all over the world, gonna be here to
That's cool.
partake in that. And then a bunch of us are running the Fort Ben half and 10K up at Fort Benjamin this on Saturday. So should be a fun time. Yeah.
That's super cool. I really enjoy you having a community like that you're such a huge part of. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, they're great people, man. I'm sure they're good.
Nice. Very awesome. All right. Well, let's talk some content. Let's talk some movies or
Some
TV or
actual,
whatever you want to do.
man, yeah, the advertising portion of our program is over. Back to the regular scheduled shit. So yeah, like horror movies. Okay.
Okay.
I've been thinking about horror, obviously, since you prompted me with that.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been lately. I've been trying to kind of like jam the show Euphoria. Have you? You're obviously in the cultures. You know Euphoria. Have you ever actually
Yeah.
watched any of it?
I have not watched any of it. It's definitely on my list that I want to watch. I've had some friends that I've talked to about it. They've recommended it. They've said it's good. I like as a 40-some-year-old man struggle with the concept of watching a show specifically about teenage girls having sex, and like it's a me thing, and I know it is, and I just need to get over that hurdle to be like it's the I don't want to be that creepy old guy like type thing, and so it's a hurdle that I because like I said, I have a lot of friends my age that do watch it and recommended it and tell me that it's good. I just mentally need to get myself over that to give it a shot. Like what's your take and your opinion on it?
Yeah, I can understand how like you could get that vibe. I find that the sex on Euphoria is not sexy.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You know, it's almost used as just kind of like a blunt instrument of like, dominance and control amongst these kids.
Oh, okay.
Um, the show is a really heavy watch. Like, I mean, find some time mentally, like, because you're going to deal with a lot of things. You're going to be like, man, this is a lot to deal with. It is okay. So, like, the best way I can kind of explain Euphoria, like, you obviously this is going back to like your favorite year of movies, 1999, American Pie,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Sure.
Okay, American Pie was a movie that when it came out in 1999, man, everybody thought that was a good time, laughter,
Yeah.
chuckled, ensued. Are you familiar with kind of how like the discourse around American Pie has like changed over the years?
I,
Uh,
I I won't say that I'm
specifically,
familiar super much with it, but definitely I can understand that because every time I rewatch it, there's definitely stuff in that movie that would not fly these days.
well, like specifically like the scene with like the Nadia character being like secretly filmed, nude, like
Yes.
that type of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So like if you think about that in the context of like 1999 and you're just like, man, this was scandalous. Like,
Yeah.
and it was. I mean, even at the time, even though it was a comedy presented as whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, you think of something like that when you compare it to like something like Harmony Korine's Kids, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
A different take on like teenage life at the time, 1996 to 1999. Euphoria is much more in that like kids vein.
Okay. Okay.
However, as opposed to Kids, where like there was the undertone and the menace of like sexually transmitted disease and like violence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Euphoria, there is, there is like a big violent portion of it.
Sure.
It is just, it's like kids turned up to like 10.
Really?
It is very
Really?
dark.
Okay.
It is very like, there are some things in there that I'm just like, whoa, I was not ready to deal with this today. Like, some things just kind of like about like the extreme like online nature of living today, and like
Dude.
especially
Oh.
like you cross section that with like fetish culture.
Oh.
That's just like a lot of things in that show that I was just like, whoa, dude, this is like vaguely horrifying, especially as somebody who aforementioned 5 minutes ago has a daughter entering her teenage years. Like, I find Euphoria to be terrifying.
That has to be
Um,
terrifying. And like going back to what you were saying about current culture, like I have a recent coworker that left our company, but like she's very young and like well over 20 years younger than me. And when we would talk and she would explain to me her dating life now, like as an early 20s person, and how literally like she goes on apps, she finds people, she goes on dates with them, she does one night stands with them, and then literally just even if they reach back out to her, she just doesn't talk to them anymore. Or like just the vibe of online dating of just being like the fact of not giving people closure is apparently huge in the current like teenage and young 20s society right now, where like if you just like you don't tell somebody that I'm done talking to you, I'm done hanging out with you, you just stop talking to like, and I'm sorry, my brain just can't even process talking about it because I just don't understand not giving somebody closure of like I'm done hanging out with you, I don't want to see you anymore, like you just stop talking to them for no reason. I don't know, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like for you and having a daughter in this generation.
well, okay. I
Sorry, I
think
think I broke my brain there trying to explain what I was saying. Like, I'm sorry.
no, no, you're good. I think like kind of like the very online nature of living today, like it kind of like creates these like bubbles around each individual person. And so like one of the things that I think Euphoria is good at is like exploring this kind of like this notion that like almost everybody in this like world of Euphoria is like so self-contained that like they really can never use people as anything more than like kind of like pawns in their own
Oh,
game of like self-discovery, if that makes sense. Like you don't love people in the world of Euphoria. You love what these people like project back onto you, if that makes sense. Like okay,
okay.
like Sydney Sweeney, right?
Hmm.
Like the the man who or the guy who is like kind of like ends up hooking up with Sydney Sweeney. He does not give a fuck about Sydney Sweeney,
Okay.
but he
Okay.
likes the fact that like dating somebody who looks like Sydney Sweeney reflects really well back on this person in a
Okay.
way that like it hides a lot of cracks in his like personality and his like psyche to the outside world, because they're just like, oh, he's dating Sydney Sweeney, there must be
Yeah.
some sort of level of artifice perfection there. And I think that's like the thing about Euphoria is like I don't imagine any high school, especially in here around Indiana, is that bad. Like, do I think they may be giving kids ideas? Sure. Um,
Sure.
are kids of every generation going to like do drugs and party and drink? Yes. And I think like, but I think like I think kind of like the siren song here of Euphoria is just like the way in which like these people use each other to their own ends, like is just like so destructive. And I think like and it's a thing that thus far, um through 2 seasons, like Euphoria doesn't really seem like it wants to crack that case insofar as
Interesting.
it's kind of portraying it. And so as it goes along, it just kind of becomes like an almost like grotesquerie. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's like Todd Browning's Freaks, or you know, like one of those like horror movies where it's just like, no, just look at this. This is like fucking terrifying. Like, but just immerse yourself in the world. We're not solving these problems today.
Interesting. You know? Okay.
And so Euphoria is about like sex, drugs, teenage life, being extremely online, dealing with all these like issues and feeling like you don't have anybody that you can actually like turn to as anything more than just like a status symbol to reflect you back to you. But like the thing about it is so like the world is so self-contained in Euphoria that it's suffocating. It's like a true nightmare scenario. And so as somebody who is older, I can look at that and just be like, thank God I am not in my teens and 20s at this point in life.
Agreed.
I'm so happy that like we lived our teenage years in that like sphere of like people had to call you on the home telephone, and if I was out, I was out. And it's like I had no pictures ever that showed me what my friends were doing when I wasn't around, so I never had that like I don't feel like FOMO really existed when we were kids, you know? Like
I don't remember it now.
Yeah, like I mean, I remember like people would be like, "Oh, we went to the mall last night." I'd be like, "Damn, I wish I could have come." But like, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? That was it. It wasn't like this thing was immortalized online with like a picture that looks like everybody's having a great time. And so like, I don't know, like, I mean, it's a fucking scary world, dude.
It really is.
For whatever reason, like things like that will always terrify me much more than like your Halloweens or your like, you know, like I find Nightmare on Elm Street, the original like 3 or 4, like all the way up to like the Dream Warriors. Like I find those movies like funny. Like, you know what I mean? They're enjoyable. Like Freddy's a pretty funny dude. Like,
well, yeah. You know? After the first one, like that's why I like the first one far better than any of the rest of. Well, until a new Nightmare, but like, yeah, they turned Freddy Krueger into a comedian starting with the second one, and I mean,
come on, dude. Even in the first one, man, there's the scene where Johnny Depp gets killed, and it's just like
that's not supposed to be funny.
A reverse waterfall of blood. Like just splattering the room. Like, come on, dude, that shit's hilarious.
I don't know if it's supposed to be hilarious. I think it's pretty awesome.
Humor is oftentimes unintentional. Generally, the best kind is. But no, like, I'm much more like, I don't know, man. World building is like a much more like horrifying thing. And so, with that in mind, man, I want to talk about like my favorite horror movie.
Let's do it.
Midsommar. Have you seen Midsommar?
I have seen Midsommar.
The look on your face tells me that you did not like Midsommar.
Like I give it like I didn't hate the movie. Like I give it like a 5. Like it's a very middle of the road movie for me. Like I didn't hate the movie, but I think maybe there was just too much buildup for me because like I know a lot of people that told me how amazing it was and like all this stuff, and I just watched it, and this is going to sound kind of dumb, but I don't know if it went as far as I was hoping it was going to. Like obviously there's some really fucked up stuff that happens in it, like, you know.
My favorite shot maybe in a movie in the last 10 years is, you know, the like scene where they jump off the cliffs into the like or whatever. Like there's the impact, but then there's the like bounce back. For whatever reason.
I mean, I'll agree with you on that.
Every time I watch that, like, it makes me laugh in a way that I'm like, dude, am I a fucking terrible person? Like maybe the real horror show here is me. And I think that's the most intriguing thing about like Midsommar, right? Midsommar takes place all in the daylight.
Yep.
Almost everything in Midsommar feels like it could conceivably happen in like just this like netherworld that is just slightly off the grid. You know what I mean? This is something Midsommar-esque could easily take place to me in like the backwoods of Appalachia. You know what I mean? It obviously in this case it takes place in like rural Sweden or whatever, but it's like psychotropics are scary, especially when they're scary. You know, ritual suicide is pretty fucking scary. Like the creepiness factor. But the thing that I find as a person, like I find the scariest is like all this shit is going down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the dude from The Good Place and my guy that's in all the John Carney movies, the Irish guy, they spend the entire time bickering about who gets to write a fucking thesis about this thing. Even in the even in the broad daylight, because there's no darkness here.
Yep. No.
So all the horror happens literally in broad daylight in front of their eyes. This fucked up, wild shit.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like just being like, oh man, we got to get the fuck out of here, or we got to figure out a way to like get out of here. These two dudes are so fucking like horrifically into themselves that all they can do is fucking fight about who gets to document this thing, who's going to get credit. And if you think about it in terms of like selfie culture, right?
Okay.
It's like you're wearing a Colts shirt, man.
Yes, sir.
There are kids that go to the Colts game every week that literally like could not tell you what a fucking button hook is. They could not even explain what something really simplistic where the name is in the thing, like a too high safety look.
Okay.
But man, they got fucking selfies of the Colts everywhere. It's like the thing that I find like really chilling about Midsommar is like in the face of human tragedy, like real human suffering, wild pagan ritual, nonsensical anything. People cannot get out of their own bubbles. They would much rather take a selfie to show that they were there.
Sure. Than
to like feel this thing, understand this thing. And that's what I find like really horrific. Like I think like Ari Aster is trying to make some bold statement about like, dude, we are so detached from reality that like we are walking through like trauma in a way.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
Instead of processing that trauma or dealing with it, or even, you know, like there's no John Wayne in Midsommar. Like literally nobody is coming to save the day.
No.
And the thing that I find scary about it is like none of these people involved even really seem to try. Nope. Like even in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, man, people are running for their fucking lives. You know what I mean? But like these people are so fucking self-absorbed. They're so like, I need to like gain something from this, that like they basically just like autonomously walk themselves toward death.
Yeah, they let everything happen to them that happens.
Literally let everything fucking happen to them.
Yeah. I guess you're definitely changing. Like, I should probably watch it again with this different mindset. I mean, I obviously did not think about the movie this way while I was watching it. So, and again, like I said, I didn't hate it. So I'd be open to watching it again. And I might want to do that with this different mindset going in.
Yeah, man. The thing about Midsommar is, man, like, I ain't even mad at the pagans. I'm mad at these fucking zombie fucking intellectual douchebags that like fucking fall right into the pagan trap. You know what I mean? Like how, like, that's the thing. I'm just like, dude, you're too fucking self-absorbed to like even recognize when you're in fucking real trouble. I was like, that is a scary fucking thought.
What other movies has Ari Aster done?
He did Hereditary, which I did not really love, except for the one scene.
Sure.
Ari Aster makes gruesome shit really fucking funny. And then he did The Beau is Afraid, which I loved. I loved the first like 20 to 30 minutes of Beau is Afraid, and then it got like way too self-absorbed.
Gotcha. I'm not familiar with that one. Very cool.
I'm not a Joaquin Phoenix guy.
Nah, I mean, I don't dislike Joaquin Phoenix.
He's just not my jam.
What else you got to talk about, man? Or you got more stuff to sell me on Midsommar?
Dude, go watch The Substance.
Man, you told me that on a previous. You told me that on a previous episode, and then I hadn't seen the trailer, so I watched the trailer when we got off. And I
It
was
is
like,
not
it's kind
like
of an
the trailer.
interesting trailer. What's that?
It is not exactly like the trailer. The trailer,
The trailer got me interested enough.
yeah, the trailer sells it as like kind of like a campy, like there's going to be cat fighting type of like, and then the substance is not really like that at all. It is very like campy insofar as like the production design and the artifice of it all, but like the substance really devolves into like some real body horror. Like I hate myself, I resent my younger self type shit that I was just like, damn, I'm not ready for this. And then the last 30 minutes are like bonkers. Like I'm not going to give away too much, but like, yeah, it turns gory, it turns fucking wild. My biggest issue was like I am not like a needle person,
Oh, okay.
and there are needles like all over this fucking thing, and I'm just like, dude. So like, I walked out like white as a ghost. I had a great time. Insofar as like the experience, like I mean, like it's an emotional ride. But yeah, like I cannot really say, yeah, you should go see that, or but I will also not, if you're like, I want to go see the stuff, I'm like, yeah, you should. I was like,
And
I'm not going to like recommend.
I'm honestly really disappointed because when we were texting this week about what we were going to talk about today, and you mentioned that you wanted to talk about this movie, I was like, that has been on my radar because I've seen a lot of very positive stuff about it online, and like you said, everybody says that it goes bonkers, and I'm like, I like movies that go bonkers. I don't always like the movie itself, but I appreciate when art does stuff like that. So with everything I've been reading, I was like, okay, Troy's going to talk about it. I want to be able to talk about it. The movie theater by me has stopped playing it. I don't feel like it's only been there for like a week, but I was unable to go, and now I'm not sure when I'll get to see it. But it definitely is. It's high on my list of stuff that I want to see, and I'm disappointed that I didn't make time to go out and see it before this.
Say it every month, man. It's always playing at the can.
Somehow I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Speaking of,
you want to hear something else, man? Guess what I'm
Yeah.
going to go see today? The 30th anniversary of Dazed and Confused at the Can. Because you can't have a podcast without me mentioning Dazed and Confused. We can literally just end it there. Go see Dazed and Confused, kids. Like if you haven't, find a way to see it. It's available everywhere. I'm streaming.
I really hope you enjoy that, man. Because going to see Dazed and Confused with you last year was one of. I mean, I was going. I'm not going to say that I was originally unavailable to go tonight to watch Dazed and Confused with you, and I was really disappointed about not being able to go, but my plans tonight have fallen through. So now I had considered just showing up randomly and being like, what's up, Troy? Let's watch Dazed and Confused together again.
Do it, man. I'm going to the 7 p.m. show.
7 p.m. show? All right. I'll text you later if I do decide to make that happen.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I love that movie.
I enjoy watching that movie with you.
This one will not be on 35 millimeter film. It'll be on a 4K restoration, which I'm kind of excited to see. See how young Matthew McConaughey truly was back then. Yeah, I can't believe that movie is 30 years old.
30
like
years old.
When it said that, I literally had I was just like, oh god, like that feeling right here where I was just like, oh, that felt insulting. I know you were not trying to be insulting, but like I still think of that as what the kids are into, like I'm just like, oh no, man, it's got all the famous people. It's got like Ben Affleck, and I'm like, oh, Ben Affleck is kind of like on the downward trajectory of being over the hill. And then I was like, Matthew McConaughey, I was like, also on the downward trajectory of being over the hill. And I'm just like, oh fuck. I was like, even Parker Posey's got gray hair and shit now, and I'm like, dude, all these people are old now. I guess that means I'm old now.
We're old, man.
It's fucked up to me, man. Because I'm like, mentally, I still feel like one of those kids on Euphoria. Like I'm just here to do the easy drugs and like fucking drink some beers and get wild.
Nice.
But
brother,
yeah.
I appreciate your time as always. It's always a pleasure having you around. Thank you for selling me on Euphoria. I'll try to get on that and hopefully watch Substance sometime soon.
I mean, the thing about Euphoria is, man, you'll know like one episode in, you'll just be like, "This is for me," or like, I want to go on this journey," or you'll just be like, "Nah, that's not for me, dog."
Cool. I'll try to let you know soon which journey I decided to go on.
Yeah.
All
It's
right. Well, thank you for
pretty
your
wild.
time, man. Always appreciate it. Let's send it back to Shane and Jason. All right, and good times talking to Troy. As always, it's fun and entertaining to see his twist and spin on things, and changes my opinion about what he thinks about horror movies. So, all right, the feature presentation. We got two kind of topics that we're going to go over here. It's October. October, I tend to always make you talk about horror movies or slasher movies or stuff like that. And I know you've suffered through it for 5 years now. We're going to do it one last time before we wrap everything up. You and I both had a couple of different ideas for what to do with this month's episode, and we're going to start with your idea. I really enjoyed it. We are going to, over the last 5 decades, we're gonna pick our favorite horror movie from the last 5 decades, and then you made the very good suggestion to pick a backup in case we pick the same movie. We can go to each other's backups and stuff like that. But just to kind of pick out the movies that we think are our favorite movies from the last 5 decades of horror movies. I'm curious. We're gonna start with the '70s. I'm curious because I feel like in the '70s and the '90s we might have the same favorite one, but we'll see there. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first for 70 to 79?
So this is where it gets weird, Shane. My idea was that you pick, like, we flip a virtual coin.
Okay.
Whoever wins, and they get to choose the first. Like, we're starting in the '70s, and let's say you win the coin toss. You would pick your favorite movie of the '70s, and then I can't pick the same one as you. So then I have to pick a different one. So then we're just talking about 2. We're not talking about 3 or 4. And then that way we're on that same page. So
Damn, okay. Well, let me see if I got a coin around here anywhere.
I've got a digital coin right here in front of me.
Cool. Throw up the digital coin. Oh boy, this changes everything.
You want to be heads or you want to be tails?
What do they do? What do they do for the NFL flip? They always heads, right? Okay, I'm taking heads.
All right. It was tails.
Of course it was. Damn it.
So now and I get to go first, and then we'll just alternate.
Yep. So I don't get the 2 decades that I wanted. Okay, this sucks. All right. Oh man, word. Cool. Well, thank you for clarifying this for me. I said tails, right? Like I said tails.
I'll let you go first. You're good.
No. You won fair and square. This makes it more interesting. This definitely throws a monkey wrench in there. From 70 to 79, sir, what was your favorite horror movie during that time?
I know what you would pick, and it's the same one I would pick, but I do have a good backup in case it was not going to be for me to pick first. But it's Halloween. There's no question.
Absolutely.
There's no question. So.
Well, damn. All right, that's a good one, man. That was definitely.
We've talked about Halloween at length. So in the past. So now you have to talk about what would be your second favorite.
My second favorite, because we did both have Halloween as our favorite from 70 to 79. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. This is Wes Craven's first horror film. It's called Last House on the Left. Have you ever seen it?
I have not.
Okay.
I've heard you talk about it, but I've never found the time or availability to watch it. So
yeah, like it's a terrorizing movie. It's one of those, a teenage girl and her friend decide to go into town to go to a concert. After the concert, they decide to make the terrible decision of let's go find some drugs and let's do some drugs. And they end up in a hotel room with a bunch of people who have just escaped prison. I think they've escaped. There is a bunch of psychopaths basically that they end up in this hotel room with, dumb girls making dumb decisions. And I'm not going to say it's like torture porn, but I mean, they like torture these 2 girls for a while and end up, taking them out into the woods and killing them. So it's pretty graphic there. And then by storytelling, speed of plot, they end up going to the parents' house of one of those 2 girls. And then at that point the parents pieced together what happened, and it turned into like a revenge movie that works pretty. It's got a lot of different stuff going on, and it's pretty awesome. Like it could
Spoiler alert.
probably be tough to watch.
Spoiler alert. You could have told me, like, you're giving away the entire plot of the whole film.
No, trust me, I'm not. No, no. Trust me, I'm selling you enough to make you interested. Hopefully, I mean, someday. What again? Like, it might not be for everybody. It's pretty dark, and I can't. Whatever I would even say will not prepare you for what you see.
Well, and I
So,
heard that at one point in time it was rated X when they
oh,
first,
sure.
but they had to take some stuff out to make it so that they could be released in theaters or whatever.
Yeah.
So
It's brutal, man. And to be honest, like I haven't watched it in a long time. I should probably give it another go because honestly, it's probably been like 10 years. They remade it about 10 years ago, I think. Sometime in the early 2010s, they remade this movie. And I that was probably the last time that I watched it, was getting ready to watch that. Which the remake's fine. It's whatever. It does have a very similar plot. It keeps basically everything the same, but also not. Like, so I don't know. I highly recommend the original one if you can. It's a slower movie. Like it's a 70s slow burn type of horror movie. So it's not, chasing every 5 minutes or anything like that. It's a lot of psychological, I can't believe I'm watching what's going on kind of stuff. So highly recommend it. If I had gotten to pick Halloween, what would your second movie from the 70s been?
The Exorcist.
Oh,
No,
yeah. Oh, that's a great call. That would have been high up on my list also. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah,
So
very good one. All right, so I get to go 80 to 89 now. I'm sticking with Wes Craven. My number one from the 80s is Nightmare on Elm Street. The original,
awesome.
the very first one. I think that movie is very solid. I like Freddy when Freddy is scary and not when Freddy is a comedian. So yeah, I really think that the original Friday the 13th is probably my favorite film from the 80s. I mean,
You
it's
just
slasher, like horror film.
you just said Friday the 13th.
Oh, geez, that's no, sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street. God, I'm getting my franchises confused. Yes, A Nightmare on Elm Street is probably my favorite. When was the first Friday the 13th? Was 1980, I think. So it would have been in the same decade. But no, A Nightmare on Elm Street from '84 is probably my '80s pick. What is your '80s favorite horror movie pick?
My favorite, honestly, is Friday the 13th.
Oh, okay, all right.
But when you said
Two.
that, I was like, that's kind of funny that you mentioned that you accidentally dropped the other franchise. So, but no, Friday the 13th. I like the simplicity of it. I like the fact
Mhm.
that would never have guessed in a million years that it's a mom doing this.
Absolutely.
Spoiler alert. Sorry, guys. Uh, I mean, it
Well,
is
and
for.
like, let's address this. Like I say on the Shane Talks 99 podcast, like this movie is 30 years old. If you haven't seen it by now, 40 years old. Yes, thanks for bringing that up. If you haven't seen it by now, like spoiler alert out the window. Like, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so continue with talking about Friday the 13th.
Oh no, and it's probably somewhat because of the fact that when I was younger, we used to watch them a ton when I was little,
Hmm.
and it just you know, so yeah, I just enjoy the movie. I always thought for the longest time I never saw the first one,
Oh,
or I don't remember seeing the ending of the first one. Maybe I can't remember what it was, but it was like I was probably I'm sitting there watching these movies when I'm 5, 6 years old. But like when I finally saw Friday the 13th, I was like, oh dang, it's his mom. That's cool. Like that's because I was like, it's gotta be Jason that's doing this. And then at the end
no.
I was like, oh, it's not Jason, it's his mom. That's totally different. So I remember enjoying that. So yeah.
I really remember I was really happy between 99 and 2000. Um, Scarefest 99, we did at Clearwater, had the original Friday the 13th. Castleton Arts did Friday the 13th Part 2, I want to say the same year. And then a year later, they did the 3D version of Friday the 13th 3D. So like over the course of a year or so, I got to see all three of them in the theater, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
man. You get the 90s. Yay. I have a feeling I know what's getting taken from me. What's my backup? Okay, yep. Go ahead. What's your favorite horror movie from the 90s?
Look, Scream.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, man. I don't even feel bad about it.
Scream has a special place in my heart, but and slasher flicks, when there's not a supernatural element to it, doesn't hit me the same way as horror movies do.
Hmm.
So with that being said, as far as a horror movie, I'm gonna pick Candyman over Scream for the 90s, just because of the fact that I love Candyman. And this is just the way my brain is using horror as a genre and everything.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, like Candyman is a better horror movie. I love Scream way more than I do Candyman.
Hmm.
But as far as a horror film goes, Candyman is like chef's kiss on that one, man. Like it's such a good movie, and it's so freaky. And there's
Yep.
not a single point in time where I've ever been scared to say ghost face in a mirror 3 times. I There's plenty of times where I, even as an adult, I've looked at myself going, this is not a good idea. And I've done it, and it's still not a good idea, just because why tempt fate at all? But yeah, Candyman's my number one horror. So
Well, I can't fault that because I 100% agree with you that Candyman. So when I was going through my list last night to try to pick stuff out. So obviously mine's Scream. Thank you for letting me have Scream. I really appreciate that. But Candyman, it was in third place on my list of potential stuff for the 90s. The only one, if you had just picked Scream, my backup was going to be the Blair Witch Project, just because that first screening that you and I went to. Like, and I understand like, and I mean, I just watched Blair Witch like a month or two ago, back in July, for Shane Talks 99, and I still really enjoy the movie, but like, it's not, it doesn't have the same level of terror that it had for us in that first screening where we had no idea what we were getting involved in. So like, Blair Witch always has a special place in my heart, but I cannot fault Candyman in any way. Like, Candyman is such a great film. Yeah, well done. But yeah, so thank you for letting me have Scream, because yeah, Scream like is literally my Scream is the movie that got me obsessed with horror movies. Like, I've talked about it at length on the podcast about how I'd seen Halloween growing up and Halloween was fine. I'd seen A Nightmare on Elm Street growing up like that. I'd seen a bunch of the Jason movies growing up. I was fine. But my love for those movies hit when Scream came out. I was just age appropriate for it. It made fun of and made shed a light on all of those other things that I had grown up with in a very what's called now meta way. Like, it changed my view of horror movies with what Scream did. So Scream will always be top notch for me. So I get 2000 to 2009. I'm pretty sure you've told me you haven't seen this movie, and I highly recommend it. In 2008, we got a movie with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman called The Strangers, and it is
oh,
literally one of the most terrifying movies that I have ever sat through. Um, it's literally about three people that just show up at this cabin in the woods where this couple is on a retreat, and not a retreat. I think like they're celebrating an anniversary, or I don't even know if it's their house. Maybe it's been a while since I've seen it, but like, they're out in the middle of the woods. These three people just randomly show up and terrorize them, like literally terrorize them and I think it's only like an hour and a half long. Um, but like those five people, there's like one other cast member in the entire movie. It's a small cast, but the things that these three people do to just mess with them and terrorize them, it is the most tense I can ever remember being in a movie theater. Like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like I love all the Scream movies and the slasher movies and all that kind of stuff and whatnot, but like, I have never felt so uneasy and actually scared while watching a movie as I did the first time that I saw The Strangers. And I can't recommend it enough. And you have not seen it, correct?
I have not. It definitely should be on my list of things to watch. But yeah, I have not seen that one either. So
Cool. So I didn't steal yours from the 2000s then. So what is your favorite horror movie from the 2000s?
this is tough because if we're going to stick with the horror genre the way that I'm thinking of it, I have to go there. I have a backup for this one, but Final Destination, man, like
Sure.
I, I love the
Absolutely.
horror aspect of that, and it's got a campy factor to it too. But it's entertaining, a lot of fun. The screening that I went to the first time I saw it, um, and the reactions that I had in the theater, like it's such a perfect like coming
So
together.
my question real quick. I remember on opening weekend going with you, Dave, and Michael to watch the movie, but I'd already seen it at that point. I went to the employee screening. Have you not seen it yet that weekend or
No, I hadn't.
oh
So
okay.
I think we went on a Monday or a Tuesday night. I think we went
Was it?
right after
Okay.
the weekend.
Okay.
So
I remember go because I remember Michael's reaction when the bus scene happens.
yeah, and we were in theater six at
Yep.
Clearwater watching
Yep.
it. But I want to say it was either like a Sunday night or a Monday or Tuesday or something, because it wasn't like really busy. It was just kind of busy.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I
but
100% remember it being in theater six. I remember it was sitting about halfway down on the far right hand side.
yep,
Um, maybe I had gotten off work that day and just decided to stay and hang out with you guys or something. But yeah, I remember being. I didn't know if that was the same screening you were talking about because, like I said, I'd already seen the movie, so I knew what was coming. But I, to this day, remember Michael's reaction when the bus scene happened.
he was hollering, man.
Yeah.
Been hollering on that one. So
All right. I am a little worried about this next genre from 2010 to 2019. It's very possible because I know you and I both love the movie that I picked. What you get to go first, man. What's your movie from 2010 to 2019?
my first movie or my movie for this time frame is it. Like
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
that movie's one of my all-time top favorite horror movies.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Pennywise and their depiction with him with the theatrical version of the whole thing. The first part way more than the second.
Absolutely.
But that first one, like it freaks me out, and I can like I forget at some point in time. I want to say my kids asked if they could watch it or something.
Oh,
Like
okay.
like somebody said, oh, Sarah said something about that looks like Pennywise. And then Aunt Jenny was sitting there like, how do you know who Pennywise is? And she made a comment about something, and I was like, and she was like, I want to say she asked or somebody asked, and I was like, you guys are not ready for that movie. Like it messed me up as an adult, and I watched horror movies since I was like 3 or 4 years old. So
Sure.
that's not happening for a long time. I'm not paying for those bills. 'Cause we're going to need a psychiatrist if I showed that movie to you anytime soon. Because my kids are sheltered. I won't lie about it. I don't
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to think of, Sarah came to me recently and was like, I want to watch a horror movie, but nothing that's like really scary, just something that's kind of scary. And I was like, oh crap. Like I have to think about that for a while, man.
I mean, I feel like the perfect answer is directly behind you.
Like Gremlins,
That's
Monster
a good one.
Squad would work.
Yeah.
Uh, but you think back, like one of my favorites of all time is Lights Out, and that's PG-13. But
Well,
that would freak her out too, man. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think of something that's appropriate for her to watch, like Little Monsters or something.
oh,
Or
sure. Yeah.
but yeah, like it's definitely like I got to think about that one for a little while, Sarah, before I'm willing to
Gremlins
let.
isn't a bad idea. Gremlins would be okay. But I mean,
Yeah.
like Monster Squad obviously is a great choice. I mean, is it Something Wicked This Way Comes PG, the Disney movie?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think for some reason I found out at one point that it was only rated PG, and I'm like, oh, that movie terrified me when I was a kid. Like, how is that only rated PG?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I look
We'll see.
forward to hearing what that first movie ends up being. I'm intrigued and excited to find out what her first horror movie turns out to be. All right, man, I am going to stick with Stephen King. because I think Doctor Sleep is my favorite horror movie from the 2010s. Like Rebecca Ferguson is just perfect. Ewan McGregor was perfect. It had the right amount of creepy, scary, bizarre, tense stuff in it that I and like when I went through the list, like of all the decades, this is the one that when I went through the list and was remembering all the horror stuff that came out in that decade, it wasn't hard for me to pick this. I'll give you it. It was very high up there as well. But like there was just so much stuff from this decade that was like the paranormal type stuff, like the Conjuring universe that I don't care about, and like the Annabelle universe that I don't care. Like there was just so much horror stuff from this decade that I just was like, nope, definitely not on my list. Definitely not. Nope, not a chance. Not even close. No way. Nope. And then, obviously, as soon as I saw it, I agree it was on that list. My other one was the Terrifier. I really enjoyed the Terrifier movie, but like Doctor Sleep is by far like my favorite from that decade. Like just and again, not traditional scary, but in the same like Final Destination way scary. Like it had something about the supernatural part that I really dug and enjoyed.
Yeah, and Doctor Sleep was very high on my list as well for this time frame. With and it easily could have been number one. I just think of how terrifying it was for me.
Sure.
Uh, um, Being somebody who was 38 when that movie came out, or whatever it was when that movie came out, and I still think about like certain sequences that freaked the hell out of me still. So yeah, I can't go any further than it, but Doctor Sleep is super super solid. The other two that popped into my head that I really liked, that that aren't supernatural but are kind of like slasher or whatever, is You're Next and
Yeah.
Don't Breathe.
Oh,
So
Don't Breathe was really good. Yeah, yeah. The one with the blind guy and the kids are breaking into his house. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That movie was. I never saw the sequel.
didn't either. I didn't bother. Like
Yeah,
I didn't need one. So
I agree. Like I was never like super like a part of me, obviously, like I always want to know where things go and why they made the sequel or whatnot. But I haven't watched it yet because I agree. Like I think that first one was so well done. What is that actor's name? The guy from Avatar.
uh, Lance.
Scott Lang. Scott Lang. No, that's Ant Man. Oh
I guess.
man, that actor was so good in that movie. Very well done. What was the other one that you said? Oh, Your Next. Yeah, Your Next was pretty interesting. Your Next, I don't know if they came out around the same time. It follows Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang is his name.
Yep.
Yep.
It
Uh,
was, I didn't like that one. I
you
didn't
didn't
care.
like that one? Okay. I thought
No,
that one was interesting. And I just found out that they're doing a sequel to It Follows, I believe. I think, yeah, which I don't know. I mean, they're doing a sequel to Smile, which okay, why not? Did you ever see Smile?
I did not.
Bro, like Smile, I
And then you
really
told me like there's this big twist at the end, and because Shane likes to tell me the endings of movies.
I didn't tell you what the twist was. I just told you I hated
Yeah,
it.
they're expecting it. It totally negates the experience. So
Cool. Don't ever watch it. It's such a terrible movie. Don't ever watch it. I'm telling you not to watch the movie. I
you're
like the movie so much for 95%. I was seriously like, Smile. It's doing like a lot of bonker stuff happens in Smile, and you're like, oh my God, I can't like if you and I had watched it together, like the shock factor of some of this stuff, you've been like this, oh, I mean, I can hear you in my head reacting to this movie. But then, like, again, I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spoil the last 5 minutes I don't like. And I'm not telling you what happens. I'm just telling you that I personally don't like it. But you and I see things differently. So when I tell you I don't like something, it's because I think you're going to like it. I don't know. Whatever.
we
So,
can move.
bro, so the other thing that once you agreed that you were willing to talk about more horror movies again, I realized that we, in all the 5 years that we've been doing Halloween episodes and whatnot, we have never specifically talked about the comedy horror comedy genre. So I just wrote down a couple of movies. I don't know if I missed any. If I did, even obviously remind me about them. But like the horror comedy genre is tough, but I came up with some that I really did enjoy. starting in 1999 with Idle Hands. I'm a huge Idle Hands fan. I'm pretty sure you like the movie too, right?
Hey, yeah, I don't remember this movie much, man. Like, I remember
What?
like the overall plot of the movie,
Uh-huh.
and I remember like certain stuff, and it was mainly because the trailer was on everything for a while there. And but I started trying to watch it the other day, like a couple of months ago, and man, I forgot how freaky that sequence is right at the beginning of the movie,
Oh
with
yeah.
the parents. Like,
Yep.
it was just one of those moments where I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot all about this," because I hadn't watched it in probably 20 years.
Sure.
And yeah, I
You
remember
make it to the part where he killed his friends?
I had the movie poster in my bedroom, man. Like I think about the fact that I hung up a satanic poster in my bedroom. I guess I was in my 20s. It makes sense. But um, it was a weird. That movie is so messed up. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I did not get to the point where he killed his friends.
Oh man, that sequence is always like, oh,
So
comedy of errors. So before we go through the rest of the list, that was the first one that I could think of. Do you have any before that that I didn't remember?
yeah, I mean, oh dang it, why did it just leave my brain? I mean, you got like Young Frankenstein back in the day,
Oh, okay, good
uh,
point, good point. Yeah,
and
and it's so weird. Like as good as that movie is, I never really think of it as a horror, but I mean, it obviously is ish. But yeah, definitely a horror comedy. Okay, good call. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that's probably that and Monster Squad because I mean that's definitely horror.
Oh, true.
Um,
Comedy. Yep. Good point.
uh, but yeah, so
How in 2000 we started the scary movie franchise. Are you a fan of that franchise?
first two maybe the
Okay.
first three. I can't remember, man. How many were there? Six.
5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the first like two the most is what I remember.
Sure.
Um, what's funny is we left off like the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting and you had all these other like weird genre films and horror movies where it was all like Ghost Ship and The Fog and all that stuff.
Uh,
So
we have to talk about Ghost Ship in 2 weeks, and I am just not looking forward to talking about that crappy piece of poop. I hate
uh,
that movie. I don't understand. I don't that. And then like we get to talk about Lake Placid in 2 weeks also, and I just don't understand how anybody likes Lake Placid. Like,
it's so
yeah,
stupid. It's funny, man. Like
it's not funny though. It's so dumb.
if I had
I
a
don't know.
dick hard, I'd tell you to suck it. Like Betty White telling you to suck her dick, and like that's comedy gold, man.
Like Betty White literally has the only two redeeming parts in that entire movie of crap. We're spoiler alert. We're getting ahead of ourselves for what we're talking about in 2 weeks. But
Anyway,
anyway, yeah, and I mean, Haunting of Hill House and the House on Haunted Hill and the Haunting that you just brought up both came out in '99 also.
wasn't it the Haunting of Hill House and the Hill, like the House on Haunted Hill, and
Yes.
then they
Yep.
renamed it once they released it on video or something?
I think they just cut it down to the Haunting.
Yeah, so that they could like because people were getting confused on which one was
Yep.
which.
Yep.
So
Because yeah,
the
it
Hell,
was originally the Haunting on Hill House. I think honestly, I think it was renamed before it was released in theaters. I think like the working title was The Haunting of Hill House, and then when it came out, it was just The Haunting. Um,
because it was the
if I
House on
remember.
Haunted Hill was the one with like Veronica Vaughn and
Yep.
Tyrese, not Tyrese, Tay Diggs,
It
Tay Diggs,
is. Yep.
and
I'm trying to
then
remember who did the Vincent Price role in that one.
that Jeffrey Rush.
Yes. Yep. Jeffrey Rush. Yep.
Yeah,
That is coming up soon on the Shane Talks 99 episode. I did The Haunting back in June or July. And then yeah, the House on Haunted Hill is in October one, if I remember right.
I want to say that,
Um,
but anyway, we can keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. Shaun of the Dead in 2004. I'm a huge fan of it. Edgar Wright's first big movie, if I remember right. Um,
Second one, we can look that up.
yeah, I'm trying to remember because it was Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End was the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And I don't think uh, uh, he may have done a movie before Shaun of the Dead, but I don't know. I think that was like his big breakout movie. But yeah, dude, Shaun of the Dead, lots of fun, lots of great British actors in it. I love seeing Bill Nye as a zombie. That's always fun.
I haven't watched that since the theater.
Really,
Yeah.
Eh, it's one of those ones. If it's randomly on, I'll usually leave it on. Like I don't really go out of my way to find it, but it's one that like I don't mind putting on if it's on somewhere. What about Club Dread? Are you a Broken Lizard fan?
Oh, stop it. You know I am.
I
What is
know.
this? Like you're acting like you're interviewing somebody you don't know, or like we haven't talked about it multiple times on this podcast before.
I have to find a way to engage you and give you a reason to answer me and not be like, bro, I know you love Broken Lizard. Tell me about Club Dread.
Club Dread's probably Bill Paxton's best work of all time. And then you have the beautiful Brittany Daniel in that movie.
Oh,
Like, yeah, like that whole movie is ridiculously stupid.
yep.
Awesome doc on I Know What You Did Last Summer. But yeah, it's silly, it's fun, it's stupid, everything you want it to be. So
Probably, and like a lot of people give me shit, man, but it is my second favorite Broken Lizard movie. Like it's Beer Fest and then Club Dread. I like it so much better than the cop ones. I like it better than I mean Slam Salmons is just not very good in general. And then what's their other franchise? They've got Super Troopers and yeah, whatever. But yeah, definitely Beer Fest for me, and then this one. And I know a lot of people that don't like Club Dread, but whatever. I know you're
uh,
a Joss Whedon fan. I know you're a Cabin in the Woods fan. I really enjoy that movie. How about you?
I just wish that they wouldn't have given away stuff in the trailer, and then I would have been much happier with that movie. But yeah, I like the idea, the thought of it, the fact that it might tie into the Buffy universe without it explicitly saying so.
Like,
So
I guess I don't remember the trailer very much. Did they show you him going underground? Like, did you know that? Like, maybe I just didn't pay attention to the trailer. Like, I didn't. The first time I watched it, I didn't realize there was so much other stuff going on. The motorcycle scene. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess I didn't remember that being in the trailer.
they literally showed you the motorcycle scene
Like,
in
and
the.
I'm trying to think back on. Okay. Okay. I'll give you that. I guess I do remember that in the trailer. I feel like Bradley, the guy from Billy Madison. I can't remember his last name. Him and
He's on West Wing.
yep,
Brad.
and and then Richard Jenkins and Brad. Ugh. Anyway, I remember them being in the trailer, but I don't remember it giving away what was going on in the trailer because I remember the whole underground stuff being like, oh wow, what am I getting into here?
Bradley Whitford.
Whitford. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Um, but yeah, so like that movie's just so much fun on so many different levels and just like going into it and not knowing what's really going on. And then like it gets really bonkers in the third act. It's Sigourney Weaver that shows up at the end.
I
Is that
think you're
right?
right. I
Yeah,
haven't
like
seen it in a very long time.
yeah, like just it 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 was one that I really enjoyed for how bonkers it got and like I'm trying we can consider it's a comedy, yes, because everything that goes on in the underground is funny, or like in the behind the scenes stuff is funny. Like that's all there for humor, yeah. But it's got some pretty horror stuff in it. I
Yeah.
know that you are a Tucker and Dale fan. That movie is so bonkers, fun, ridiculous. It's just Alan Tudyk and Tyler Labane are just hilarious. It's very fun spin on a slasher movie. Anything you want to say about that one?
Gave a copy of it to my dad for birthday or Christmas. I can't remember which. So because of the fact that I liked it so much, and he loves horror comedies.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah, I definitely I was like, oh, my dad would like this movie. So
So give me Carl's review. What was his feeling on it?
we haven't talked about it, so I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know.
Um, you just texted me about this movie recently. I have seen it. I don't know if you have or have made time to see it. Final Girls. Okay. Final Girls is fun. It's weird. It wasn't as good as like when I saw it because I watched it during COVID, so it was a couple years after it came out. But it was one of those things where I was going on Amazon Prime and finding, what horror movies I could get into or whatnot. Saw the trailer for that one. I was like, done. I'm in. Like, let's watch it. It's fine. It's fun. It's good. I'm not saying anything negative about it, but I kind of wished it was better. Like it's not great in any way, but it was an hour and a half. I mean, and Malene Akerman, I believe, is who plays the mother in that movie, and she's beautiful. So it's kind of I mean, I know I think she's like almost 40, but like she pulls off a teenager in this movie and like does it convincingly. So like, yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. I mean, Bumper from Pitch Perfect is in it, so obviously you're getting his kind of sense of humor and stuff like that. So it's it's fine. Like I said, it's nothing great. It has some weird stuff that goes on. It's very I don't know. It's worth your time if you're in the mood for something like that. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's super scary or it's a great comedy or anything like that. Happy Death Day, man. Good.
I was going to say next one, Happy Death Day. Definitely one of those movies that everybody wanted to make a different version of Groundhog's Day. They do a really good job about it. I believe we've talked about it on the podcast in the past.
Yep.
Great movie, lots of fun, very silly. So
absolutely. And just so weird how the second one, like first one, very horror centric, like very horror comedy centric. Second one, very sci-fi centric. And I mean, I think they pull it off really well and whatnot. But just interesting how that franchise just hits two completely different genres in its two movies. You are a fan of The Babysitter, I know. Babysitter is a lot of fun.
The first one's a lot of fun. The second one's not as fun, but it's still silly and. Sure. Enjoy all aspects of that horror comedy for sure. So
very fun and enjoyable. Did you ever see Freaky?
Was that was the Vince Vaughn body swap with the serial killer, with the teenage girl who plays what was it? It's the girl who played the latest version of Ant-Man's daughter, and it was very silly, totally worth watching. I like it a lot. So I've not watched Totally Killer though.
Oh man, Totally Killer is a lot of fun. I highly recommend Totally Killer. Very nostalgic. I mean, it's kind of a similar same plot to Final Girls about like girl traveling back in time. Her mother had been murdered. A bunch of her friends had been murdered in the 80s and whatnot. Friend builds a time machine. She goes back and kind of gets involved in all of the stuff that's going on with that. It's got a lot of social commentary about how things were different in the 80s and stuff like that. So Totally Killer, dude, I highly recommend it, man. It was a lot of fun. Really funny. Who I can't remember now. The main chicken that was somebody that's been in something else. But hey man, if you find the time this October, I would highly recommend checking out Totally Killer. It was a lot of fun for what it was. Well, that's all that I've got for us to talk about this month. You got anything left over that you can think of to go over?
Not really, sir.
No, you're good. Cool. Well, we do have a mid-month episode coming up. We have committed to bringing on the Miller brothers. Ryan Miller and Garrett Miller are going to join us in the middle of this month. And I know I originally told you could take this episode off if you wanted to. And then you were like, absolutely not. I want to be a part of this. So we're going to talk about bad movies that Shane hates that everybody else apparently thinks are great. So that's when we were talking about Lake Placid earlier, when we were talking about Ghost Ship earlier. Like those are two that are already on the list. I need to come up with some more movies that I absolutely hate so that we can get the consensus on that. But that'll be our mid-month episode. And then November, we will not have a November 1st episode. We will be dropping an episode on November 2nd because it's a very important and special day. You want to talk a little bit about our November 2nd episode?
I'm trying to figure out why you're picking November 2nd instead of November 1st.
Isn't November 2nd Dave's birthday?
No.
Well, I'm an idiot. What's that? What do I have in my phone?
My wife is laughing at you.
Oh, yeah, okay, and there's oh, huh. Well, that's really awkward. Why I was fixated on November 2nd. Okay. Well, when's Dave's birthday?
November 1st.
Huh, it's not in my phone. Dave's birthday. So we're man, I need to edit all of that out. Like, can I retake this and make myself not look so stupid? So on November 1st, we're gonna have a really special episode coming out. You want to talk about how special? God, man, I'm an idiot. Huh. Well, so Dave's birthday is November 1st, and we're gonna release a special episode that's gonna be called Dave's Talk. Dave Talks. Man, I really can't recover from this stupidity at the moment.
You're fine, man. I was like, November 2nd. I don't know why he's holding on to that one. But yeah, so Dave is 111, and then his wife was born on 111. So he was born on November the 1st. His wife was born on January the 11th. So
That's super cool. I'm sure I'll screw that up in January.
so, but
Oh
yeah,
my God.
we're good,
So
man.
yeah, when we were out in Boston, we filmed a bunch of stuff. We've got a bunch of other content. We got some content we still need to get. And then yeah, we're gonna do a special November 1st episode to celebrate your brother and all the people that love him. And yeah, so man, I'm just terrible. I just feel so dumb right now.
It's all right, bro. So
I appreciate you trying to make me feel better about it, but word. So, let's just end this episode before I say anything else stupid. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.